Hey, good day, everybody. Dave Walker here again with the Beta SMB Institute. And as promised, we wanted to bring forward thought leaders who were facing particularly thoughtful challenges in running their Beta SMB brands and businesses. And so I am delighted to invite for the first time ever to an Institute event, Joe Pascaretta from D&B. Joe, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, David. It's an honor to be here and look forward to the conversation.
Why don't we start with just kind of in sequence, the 411 on you and your background, which is very interesting. Then the 411 on the D&B, and then a little bit about the team that you're assembling there and kind of the mission that you're on.
Yeah, sure. So, my background as a former small business owner, I actually ran two small businesses in the great state and the great city of Detroit, Michigan during the 2008 recession. And one business was in landscaping and architecture. And that's the one I talk a lot about. But, as a former small business owner, I understand really the challenges, the ups and the downs of trying to run, plan, launch, manage, and grow your business. And so in my role today as the general manager of small business at Dun & Bradstreet, I've been able to bring a lot of those learnings, a lot of those lessons into our day-to-day go-to-market. And so my role today really is around ensuring that the voice of the small business owner is in front of everything we do, whether it's outreach, whether it's our product solution set, and also around our innovation. How are we innovating to help small business owners in all capacities? And so here at D&B, we have various teams in marketing, sales, product. It's basically a full go-to-market team for small business. And we're really working to take that to the next level in partnership with small businesses across the United States and actually across the world.
And have you guys always had a small business unit, or did you kind of did you create a small business unit when you arrived, or did you inherit something?
Yeah, so we established it and then we actually sold it off and brought it back. And so as part of that, bringing it back, that's where we're really trying to put the voice and the small business owner in the front and center of everything we're doing. We're really trying to take that entrepreneurial approach and leading from the voice of the small business owner. So, but D&B is all in on small business. It's one of our top 5 priorities, as we've mentioned to the public. And we're really doubling down on the space.
Talk us through a little bit about what's in your product portfolio, kind of what's in the briefcase that you guys are selling.
Yeah, sure. So a lot of small business owners think of us as simply the ability to impact or potentially impact their business credit profile. And that's certainly one of the core reasons of why small businesses come to us. So we have tools that allow and potentially allow small business owners to impact their credit scores, and also establish their business identity through what we call our DUNS number. And the DUNS number is one of the top reasons why people come when they establish their business. They have to get that universal, that unique identifier for their business. So we have our DUNS capability. And we're also releasing some newer capabilities in really what we call our sales and marketing suite that allows small business owners to get their name out there, whether it's in search engines, whether it's in advertising to B2C customers. So we have a number of new products we've been launching. One of them is our business listing that helps get your name out on those search engines. And the other is our Rev Up solution that allows small business owners who are marketing to consumers to actually be able to leverage digital tools to again, get their name out there and establish a pipeline. And last but not least, of course, we have our D&B scores, and there are various scores from maximum credit recommendation to our what we call our PAYDEX score. And there's about 8 key scores that we market and position to help small business owners.
So I have to ask, because you're a small business owner and you are now part of D&B is probably a Fortune 500 company, right? Or at least more Fortune 1000. I would imagine it's pretty big. But what drew you? What drew you in to join such an incredibly large enterprise like D&B?
Yeah, sure. So, my background started out in the entrepreneurial spirit. When I was in college, I was actually running my businesses. And, what drew me into D&B, I took a run at enterprise software and, I was kind of an inventor for a while doing new things in healthcare. But what drew me to D&B was trying to solve that challenge of of running and owning a small business. When I had the lawn company, I made a lot of mistakes. And, there were a lot of lessons learned that were silly mistakes. Had I have known, I would have probably enjoyed running the business even more. And when I was a landscape small business owner, we had about 50 people in its peak. And, it was really, really challenging. And what I wanted to do as the small business owner was I wanted to focus on my trade. I wanted to make sure I was selling the best pine trees I could and planting the best flowers and giving the customer the best work we could. But the reality was I faced a number of challenges really in the operations of the business. And it was at all different stages. For instance, even trying to figure out, how to build business credit, for instance, was one of them. I was continuously using my personal credit to get financing, not only for credit cards, but also for equipment and capital. And that was one of the biggest mistakes I made, especially as we matured and we wanted to do business with the local municipalities. We basically were an unknown entity. We didn't have an established reputation. And that was one of those things in hindsight, looking back, I wish somebody would have said, hey, establish your business credit, focus on, building that from day one. One example of one of those things that you learn. And so when the opportunity arose to really lead the go-to-market and strategy for D&B, that was one of those things I jumped at right away, just knowing what I went through. And I considered myself pretty savvy. I was asking my accountant. My accountant was basically my advisor, but also my outsourced CFO. I kept going to him from everything from HR to business credit and trying to grow the business, all the way to HR items, having to hire and fire workers. I would use my CPA as my go-to. So I had a really good advisor, but even with that advisor, it was still challenging. So, I jumped at the opportunity to really, create a world-class brand that helps small businesses at every stage of their journey, planning, launching, managing, and growing their business.
That's very cool. I asked you to talk about this journey that both the D&B brand is on and that you're helping to guide. And I describe it loosely as from Venerable to Vanguard. You're moving from being very well established and comfortably established, great reputation, but also recognizing there's a whole slew of opportunities in the form of innovations, in the form of service to the marketplace that really moves you into the front of the recognized brands that serve small businesses. Talk to me, starting maybe with the mission that you think that you've articulated over the course of the last year as relates to small business, and talk a little bit about, from that mission, what are the early steps that you recognize needed to take form to really get on the right path to move from Venerable to Vanguard?
Yeah, that's a really important element that we're focused on, not only when I first joined the organization, but also into today and of course throughout the pandemic. But really the mission and the focus is to help all small businesses even before they're established. One of the things we were focused on when I first joined the organization was taking a look at who's coming to D&B, what types of businesses, where are they at in their journey? And what I realized was we had a lot of very mature small businesses. And that told me we're not getting to the small business owner quick enough. And some of that was we were expecting a lot of small businesses to come directly to D&B versus through partnerships, versus through what I call meeting the small business owner where they're at, where they're going on a day-to-day basis. And that was really, really evident in our thousands of customers that would purchase products to try to, potentially impact their credit scores or build their credit profile. And to me, that wasn't enough. That was too late. And if you look at what I was talking about with my lawn company, I was too late as well. So the mission had to quickly become, we have to service all types of small businesses, even before they establish. We have to create that awareness in a way that's meaningful, impactful, and a way that a small business owner can take action, no matter where they're at, no matter what time of the day. To be candid, I was constantly doing a lot of the paperwork, a lot of the office work, between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 in the morning. So the tools have to be available when the small business owner needs it. In addition, the other component is, servicing all types of small business owners. So there are actually 5 generations of small business owners today. So that means we had to take a look completely at how are we marketing? How are we advertising? How are we getting the word out that these tools exist? And when we did that, and in speaking with small business owners, what do you think of DMB? Is constantly what I would ask small business owners in my first 90 days. And a lot of them said, you send us a lot of mail. So we had to completely overhaul the way we were marketing and getting our tools and solutions out into the market. We had to kind of rethink that entire thing to really service all types of small business owners. And knowing that, the 5 generations, really look for capabilities and solutions with different tools. Some of them are much more social. TikTok is one of the ones that we had no presence on, and that we're establishing a plan around having a TikTok channel and being able to offer different tools and tricks and capabilities through these new channels. So that's just, one other element. So it's basically servicing and supporting all types of small businesses, even before they establish, and also ensuring that we are servicing the 5 generations of small business owners, meeting them where they're at.
I'm fascinated by the part of the story of you're making that examination of your current customers at DMB when you arrive, and you find out that they're great, but they're old. I mean, they're well established. They basically have probably matured into a more acute need for the services that DMB offers. But to your point, your self-recognition, boy, that's not the majority of the marketplace in SMB, and there's so much more that we could potentially do. I guess that as my head is spinning, having been on kind of transformation journeys in my past life with large enterprises, talk a little bit about particularly for those of your peers who are kind of in the same spot. They're working with long established business to small business brands who have had quite a bit of success. Now they are trying to take that journey from being Venerable into a Vanguard. What are some of the challenges that you faced that you can share with them, either as a lesson of, hey, get ready for this, or as a, hey, you're not crazy if you're experiencing this?
Yeah, I think the best way to look at it, or at least one of the biggest things that we did at DMB, was we really look at what are we offering the market and how does that line up with all of the different maturity stages of a small business, the micros, kind of the just started or the self-employed, through to kind of the mom and pop Main Street type businesses. Take a restaurant that is happy with one location. They're not looking to franchise into 50 or 100 franchisees. And then you have your matures, the ones that are seeking access to capital and ones that are seeking access to enterprise buyers, for example. And then we think about the unicorn, kind of the small business owners that have invented something or have something unique, and they may be a little bit of a different breed in that they're not necessarily even bringing in revenue, but they have significant backing in capital or funding. So when you think about all of those types of businesses, you really have to map what am I offering to the market, and what are those businesses willing to spend, and in knowing that you have to offer solutions that they can afford and that make sense for them. So what we did in our product portfolio was we examined it, and we realized we have a lot of what I call premium solutions that are maybe $100 to $500 to $1,000 per month. And those are premium. When I first started the lawn company, $10 a month was a lot of money. And I would constantly evaluate, do I really need this? And so what we did at DMB was we established a real strategy from a product perspective around freemium. So truly free tools that a small business owner can leverage and use that provide real value. And then how do we get them into a solution that is a little bit of a subscription model, a paid solution, but do it in a way where we're not having to put, our sales reps over the phone or have expensive human capital, maintaining and nurturing. And we do that through self-service digital tools through our e-commerce engine. And so we, at DMB at the time, we had, a little bit of e-commerce going on, but it wasn't substantial by any stretch. So we invested not only in our freemium solutions, allowing those tools to get to market and allowing small business owners to really leverage those tools, but we really rolled out new capabilities that were much less expensive than our premium tools, but give them a sampling of the tools and capabilities that we offer to the market. And that's through our e-commerce engine.
Was the freemium model and the lower cost model, was that a tough sell in the organization?
It was. It certainly was, because one of the things that we did at Dun& Bradstreet was realize small business owners, in order to educate small business owners on the importance of establishing, building, and maintaining your business credit, you have to explain to them the why. And the why are really these scores. Not only that capital and lending institutions use, but also procurement buyers use to evaluate the worthiness and the legitimacy, and also are they established, and are they going to go out of business in the next year? Getting a small business owner to understand that those scores do exist, those 8 scores that I mentioned, and really allowing them to understand, do they have it, do they not? And if they do have it, give them a sample of it, give them a snapshot of those scores to let them understand, hey, here's where you're at, here's what the scores mean, and here's a snapshot of your score. And so that's what we did through one of our platforms. We allowed the small business owner to sign up, take a look at their scores, and then make decisions from there. But we also continue to give them directional input. Is the score going up or down? As long as they're subscribed to that platform. And that provides not only value to the small business owner, but it also allows us to say, hey, did you know there's these other tools and capabilities available? If you want to potentially impact your score, if you want to get the word on the street out there that you are a business, you're established, and here's where I'm located. So we really use the score as what I call the hook, as a way to drive education around the importance of business credit. And to your question around, was that tough to sell at D&B? It really was, because it was against the grain of the normal way of doing business. A lot of times D&B would, charge for those scores. And we kind of had to think, what's the value of having more people sign up to charging, which would obviously cause a barrier to entry. And so that was a real challenge, but we've seen a tremendous amount of success with it. We launched that tool. It's called Credit Signal. We launched it right before right during when the pandemic was hitting, really hitting the nation hard in April. And we saw a substantial amount of signups day over day, but also since the pandemic began, over 1 million signups. So we saw a substantial amount of small businesses really jump at it, really jump at the ability. And we felt good in offering it, especially knowing what small business owners were going through during the 2020 and into today. We're still seeing substantial amount of signups every single day. And we feel good as an organization knowing that that's helping them, but it's also providing the right education. We want educated small business owners leveraging the premium tools. We don't want them just buying the premium tools and not understanding what they're doing. We really want to go hard on the education to really help them in this journey and help be that navigator in partnership with them.
Wow. I want you to come back and talk about that, talk about just the education of small businesses to actually use your product and how that fits into the selling process, how that fits into the delivery process. Because I think it's a challenge that frankly, all of us are trying to figure out, is how do we do it more effectively? You mentioned the pandemic. What are some of the most important impacts that the pandemic had on your product offering, on your mission, any of those things? What did the last 18 months really bring to your doorstep?
I would say the pandemic has allowed us not only internally to double down on our digital and e-commerce experience, because again, as you mentioned, selling internally, selling that vision internally was a bit of a challenge, just because proper D&B is more of an enterprise organization selling to larger entities. So it allowed us that ability to double down, because we were experimenting with it. The pandemic certainly shed a light on the need for digital solutions for small business owners so they could rapidly and quickly leverage the tools and capabilities. So it really allowed us to double down on that initiative, everything from the web experience to how we're positioning, but also to how we're promoting and partnering with other entities like the government, and also entities, other third-party vendors that service small business owners. And we've announced a few of those to the world, and that really goes back to, meeting the small business owner where they're at. How do we, really get that education material within others' experiences? One of the ones we mentioned was Bank of America. Every small business owner has a checking or savings account, not necessarily with Bank of America, but with one of the large banks or any credit institution. And so the reality is that's where they're going to look up their financing, their funding, where they're at. That was something I used to log into multiple times a day, was my bank account. So we said, why not add some education material where that small business owner is going? Why not put the score within that experience? Why not put the education material within that experience? And so that allowed us to really start to partner with other entities. And that's why we really want to double down in that space as well. Not only does it provide value to their customer base, but it also strengthens their solution in offering this education tool around business credit and the scores that come with it.
I think that's so smart. The Verizon business guys call it the moment of need. That the small business has a to-do list and lives and dies on that to-do list of 10 or 12 items every single day. And if you're on that to-do list, then you are in their moment of need. And if you're there with an effective response or effective tool or service, boy, it's easy compared to trying to get onto their to-do list with, hey, you should really check this out. It's like pushing a rope for many. So how do you think you can better serve the underserved communities of minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, urban businesses, rural businesses? How do those fit in your thinking?
Absolutely. So that is front and center in our go-to-market as we speak. Some of the things that I view, in listening and in speaking with, here in Jacksonville, but also around the country, we have to do a better job, and we are investing in education tools and resources and also capabilities that allow those business owners that are underserved, as you say, to be able to showcase their businesses, but also to understand that there are resources available to them as well, not only with the government, but also within DMB. One of the key initiatives that we're really going hard on is this notion around ESG and ESG for small businesses. And really, and there's going to be a lot more to come around that. But that is an area that not only from an education perspective, we're focused on, really trying to provide real tools, resources, but also communities. One of the things we're also working on is creating a community for those types of small business owners to collaborate together, not only with DMB, but also each other. So there's going to be more to come around some of these tools and services that we're bringing to market. Really, to focus on those types of businesses.
I've heard pretty frequently that one of the challenges in the minority-owned small business population is the use of personal credit. That personal credit has been essentially the only means to establish kind of the credibility to get any kind of financing or loan. Is that a unique challenge, do you believe, to that particular market? And how do you think you'll be able to help migrate them into more of, no, these are the things that this is the standard that by which you should really kind of establish your business credit?
I would say it's not unique necessarily from the notion of I'm going to use my personal credit versus business credit, because I made that same, or I had that same challenge. I made that same mistake. The reality is understanding the resources that are available for those types of businesses. There are different and great resources available. And I think it's making that connection is the number one challenge that I see. Understanding that if I want to do business with the government, that there are unique ways to showcase you are minority owned, you are women owned, and those will help you in that seeking of a bid or RFP or whatever it may be. And so it's really tying and ensuring they understand that those resources are available, but getting them in front of those business owners as well. So I think that's really where I see the challenge. I think from a consumer versus business credit perspective, that's really the challenge we see across any small business. But it's really tying them to those tools and resources that allow them to showcase that uniqueness about them in a great way, in a positive way. And knowing that DMB is going to be, really, really focused on that and then in the upcoming months here.
So kind of as we round third and head for home here, this has been a great conversation, which I think is very much a playbook for anyone who's sitting in a similar situation that you are. how would you describe the DNA of D&B, and what role does it play in really your brand as you move forward?
Absolutely. So D&B's been around over, 180 years. We've been around a long, long time. And
180 years?
180 years.
I had
180.
no idea. That's
Yes,
a long
180.
time.
It really is. It really is. And so when you think about the heritage and kind of the DNA of the company, it's certainly evolved. You think back, we actually had four former presidents, working at the organization, and when you think back to when it was established, you think of the times then, and you think of the times now, and you think about how technology's evolved and innovations evolved. But the reality is, it's always been around data. Even though in the 1800s, the data was in books, physical books and physical, written down. And today it's digitized, it's in our digital supply chain. The reality is it's been a company around data. And I think what we've done as of recent in the last decade or so is we've really rallied around leveraging new tools and capabilities to harness the power of that data, so organizations can make data-driven decisions. And I would say the DNA is also around, ensuring that as many small business owners and as many business as possible can get into our data supply chain. And that's really where the small business owner comes into play with this, and why it's so important and so critical. So I think it's really around understanding market conditions and being, an early adopter and bleeding adopter in some of the most innovative technologies today, not only for small businesses, but also the enterprise. And really, that's the DNA of D&B, is harnessing the power of that data supply chain and bringing it to market in new capacities. And when you look at, a lot of what we talked about today, building out freemium tools, digital tools, that's really all coming from how do we get these tools into the hands of business owners and really listen to that customer. And look, we wouldn't have been in business so long if we didn't listen to our customers. I mean, that's truly a feat that I'm proud of with the company. I've been here going on 2 years, actually. It's my 2-year anniversary this week, literally. But it's pretty cool to be part of an organization that's been around so long, but has been able to, ensure that we're offering tools and capabilities that are relevant, not only in the 1800s, 1900s, but also today, tomorrow, and in the future.
So the last 18 months obviously have been incredibly hard on small businesses. Are you, as we steer into this recovery, are you bullish about their future?
I absolutely am. I believe small business owners, while we know, during the pandemic, over 100,000 unfortunately went out of business. We believe it's the forefront of it's majority of businesses in the United States and across the world. We are very, very bullish. We believe that not only with the tools and capabilities we're bringing to market, but a lot of the partners that are part of this great organization, we believe they will come back stronger than ever. We believe the pandemic allowed them to really rethink their day-to-day business models, how they're interacting with customers. We've seen many organizations, that really had no interest in digital, no interest in leveraging digital tools and capabilities, swing completely to the opposite direction and really understand and see the power of, engaging with clients through social media, engaging through clients, leveraging mobile tools and apps and capabilities of that. And so we watch these small business owners rally, but not only rally on their own, but rally together. And so small business owners are resilient. If you look at 2008, and I'm not going to compare COVID and today's challenge with 2008, because in my opinion, it's certainly much more challenging today. But if you look at what happened even in 2008, when I ran the lawn company, and you look at the small business owners that figured out how to survive, but also the new entrants during that time period. There were more and more new businesses established, new organizations, new people, new individuals, new entrepreneurs saying, you know what, I'm going to make the leap of faith right now. And we're certainly seeing that. We're certainly seeing born new entrepreneurs come to market, bring some new capabilities, new ideas. And we want to make sure they're doing it the right way. That's one of the things that gets me so excited about what we're doing at D&B. We want to make sure they're doing it the right way. But we believe the future is going to be small business owners. We believe they're going to continue to grow and thrive. We think there's going to be many new entrants. And we think if we can make it easier, not only on our own, but with many of the partners as part of this organization, if we can do it together, we think we can help small business owners enjoy and have fun running a small business. I used to say, David, let's make it fun to run a small business again. And somebody asked me the question, was it ever fun? And I said, well, that's a good question. That's, there were times where it was fun, but we want to make it where it's, I'm a private pilot, where there's checklists, where there's things that they can do, where we make it where they don't even have to think about it. They have the tools at their fingertips. We want to make it fun. We want to make it where they can focus on their trade, do what they do best, and ultimately service their customer to the best of their ability. So we are very, very bullish on small business, not only from a DMB point of view, but my personal point of view.
That's terrific, Joe. Last question. You're in front of, 4,000 plus of your peers who are, all kind of in the same challenging marketplace, trying to figure out how to serve small businesses. You mentioned before that you believe partnerships is going to be key going forward. What would you like from a prospective partner for DMB?
So, when you look at where we're partnering, and you think about what I said earlier, plan, launch, manage, grow. We're looking for partners in every one of those buckets. Mm-hmm. So partners that the minute you establish a business, or you're thinking about establishing a business, we have capabilities at DMB like our get a DUNS, get the DUNS number and manage your DUNS number, manage your business profile. But we're looking for partnerships, for instance, that can help an entity, establish themselves from an LLC or DBA perspective. So that's one example. So all of the different things a small business owner is going through, we're looking for partners that not only can help the small business owner, but can complement the DMB offerings, where we think, having a DMB offering within that portfolio could be very interesting. But also we want to be able to offer partner products and capabilities ourselves. And, look, one of the things that when I first came in, I told the business, we have to focus. We want to focus on what we do best, and where we don't focus and where we don't do things best, we want to partner. So we're looking for best of breed solutions and real providers to partner with those entities. And it's really around all different areas of the business and what they're focused on, from banking to growing their business to establishing their business. If you think about all of the elements of running a small business and all the phases they go through, that's where we're looking for partners.
Awesome. Well said. Thank you, Joe. This has been absolutely fantastic. Would love to have you back, especially for our Leaders Forum in Napa next May. I think not only will you have a very good time, you'll also meet some peers who are very much facing many of the challenges that you talked about today. Thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And again, thank you for your great organization and establishing, and helping to, drive the mission of what we're trying to do and help small business owners.
All right. Thanks again.
Okay. Take care. Thanks, David.